Tae-ho Kim stood at the window of his small ship and watched the massive space station grow larger in front of him. Nexus Station was huge. It was bigger than any human city. The metal surface was covered with lights that blinked in patterns. He did not understand. Ships from many different worlds moved around it like insects around a bright lamp. "First time seeing something like this?" asked Hee-jin Park. She was a captain in the Earth Defense Force. Her job was to keep Tae-ho safe during this trip. "Yes," Tae-ho said. "I have seen pictures, but this is different. Much bigger than I thought." Dr. Min-soo Lee looked up from his data pad. He was a scientist who studied alien life forms. "The station is over 300 years old. 12 different species built it together." "Well, that is what they told us." Hee-jin made a sound that was not quite a laugh. 12 species, but only one that makes the rules." Tae-ho nodded. He knew she was right. The Galactic Council had invited humans to join them, but the invitation did not sound friendly. It sounded more like an order. The message had been simple. "The new species called humans will attend the council. Terms for your place in the galaxy will be discussed." The human ship docked at a small bay on the edge of the station. 3 council guards waited for them. The guards were tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. They wore dark uniforms with symbols that meant nothing to humans. "You are the human delegation," one guard said. It was not a question. "Yes. I am Ambassador Tae-ho Kim. This is Captain Park and Dr. Lee." The guard looked at them for a long moment. "Follow. Do not touch anything. Do not speak to anyone unless spoken to." They walked through long corridors filled with strange smells and sounds. Other beings moved through the hallways. Some looked almost human, but most did not. Tae-ho saw creatures with 6 legs, others with scales instead of skin, and some that seemed to be made of living metal. "They are all looking at us," Min-soo whispered. "Let them look," Hee-jin said quietly. "We have nothing to hide." The guard led them to a large door. "Wait here," he said, then walked away. They stood outside the council chambers for 20 minutes. Finally, the door opened. A voice spoke from speakers they could not see. "The humans may enter." The chamber was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Tae-ho could not see the top. 12 seats were arranged in a circle, each one higher than the last. In the highest seat sat a being that was clearly in charge. He had purple skin and eyes like black stones. This was Chancellor Thokmar. "So," Thokmar said, his voice loud, in the big room. "These are the humans. Smaller than I expected." The other council members laughed. Some made sounds that might have been laughter but were hard to understand. "We welcome you to the galactic community," Thokmar continued. "You are very lucky. Most new species must wait much longer before they are noticed by the council." Tae-ho stepped forward. "Thank you for inviting us, Chancellor. We hope this can be the start of good relations between our species." "Good relations, yes, but first we must discuss your place in the galaxy. You see, space is dangerous. There are many threats. Pirates, rogue worlds, ancient weapons left by dead civilizations. New species like yours need protection. We appreciate your concern," Tae-ho said carefully. "But humans have been exploring space for some time now. We have learned to handle most dangers." A council member with blue fur and too many teeth made a barking sound. "Handle dangers? Your ships are made of metal and simple circuits. Your weapons are projectiles and basic energy beams. You have no idea what real dangers exist out here." "Counselor Vex-Ana speaks the truth," Thokmar said. "This is why the council offers you our protection. In return, you will follow certain guidelines." Tae-ho felt Hee-jin move slightly behind him. He knew she was getting ready for trouble. "What kind of guidelines, Chancellor?" "Simple ones. First, you will reduce your military forces to what we consider safe levels. No species needs more than basic defense ships. Second, your colonies will be registered with the Council. We will help you choose the best worlds for your people. Third, You will contribute to the Galactic Defense Fund. 40% of your resources will be enough to start. The chamber was very quiet. Tae-ho could hear his own heartbeat. 40%. They wanted nearly half of everything humans produced. That seems like a lot, Min-soo said quietly. A lot? Thakmar's voice got louder. Young species, you do not understand. The Council has kept peace in this galaxy for thousands of years. Peace costs money. Peace costs ships. Peace costs sacrifice. And if we prefer to handle our own defense? Tae-ho asked. The laughter that followed was not friendly. A being that looked like a giant insect clicked its mandibles. Your defense? You have been in space for what? 50 of your years? We have been traveling between stars since before your species learned to make fire. War Prime Cathalos is correct, Thakmar said. You are children playing with toys. The galaxy is full of real monsters. Without our protection, your species will not survive another generation. Tae-ho looked at each council member. He saw the same expression on every face. They were not offering protection. They were demanding submission. These are serious matters, Tae-ho said finally. We need time to discuss them with our government. Of course, Thakmar said with a smile that showed too many teeth. You have 72 standard hours. That should be enough time for your leaders to understand their situation. The guards appeared again and led the humans back to their ship. None of them spoke until they were safely inside. Well, that went about as well as we expected, Hyejin said. Min-soo was already working on his data pad. I recorded everything. The translation software caught some interesting words they used. When they said protection, the word in their language also means control. When they said guidelines, it also means chains. They think we are weak, Tae-ho said. They see our peaceful approach and think it means we cannot fight. Should we tell them they are wrong? Hyejin asked. Not yet. Let them keep thinking that. Send a message to Earth. Include everything that happened here. Let the President and the Council of Nations decide what to do. While they waited for Earth's response, Hyejin checked the local space traffic. Interesting, she said. There are a lot more council ships in this area than there should be. Military ships. They are getting ready to force us if we say no, Min-soo observed. Let them try, Hyejin said quietly. The response from Earth came 18 hours later. It was short. Terms unacceptable. Prepare for immediate departure after formal response is delivered. Tae-ho smiled for the first time since arriving at the station. Well, gentlemen and lady, it looks like we get to deliver some disappointing news. I almost feel sorry for them, Min-soo said. Almost, Hyejin asked. They have no idea what they are dealing with. The second meeting was different from the first. More council members were present this time. Tae-ho counted 15 different species sitting in the chamber. The air felt heavy and dangerous. Chancellor Thakmar did not waste time with greetings. Have your leaders reached a decision about our generous offer? They have, Tae-ho said. We would like to propose some changes to the terms. The silence that followed was not comfortable. Thakmar's black eyes seemed to get darker. Changes? You wish to negotiate with the Galactic Council? We hope to find terms that work for everyone, Tae-ho replied calmly. Tell us your proposal, Vexana said. Her blue fur was standing up, which Min-soo had learned meant she was angry. Tae-ho pulled out a data pad. Earth proposes mutual non-aggression, treaties with all council species. We also suggest trade agreements that benefit both sides. We would be happy to share some of our medical and agricultural technology in exchange for scientific knowledge. The laughter started slowly, then grew, louder. War Prime Kethalos made a sound like metal scraping against stone. The humans think they have something to trade. What medical technology? Asked a council member who looked like a walking tree. What agricultural advances? Your species has barely left its homeworld. We have made some progress, Minsu said, quietly. Our food production has increased by 400% in the last 50 years. Our medical treatments have extended human life by 60 years on average. Impossible, said another council member. Young species do not make such advances. Thokmar raised one of his 4 hands for silence. It does not matter what small improvements you have made. The galaxy does not need your technology. What the galaxy needs is order. What the galaxy needs is control. He stood up from his chair. He was much taller than Tae-ho had realized. Let me explain your situation more clearly. The Council has decided that humans are a warrior species. You have been fighting wars on your home planet for thousands of years. You have weapons designed only to kill other humans. This makes you dangerous. Every species has conflicts, Tae-ho said. That does not make us more dangerous than others. Does it not? Thokmar walked down from his chair to stand in front of the humans. We have studied your history. Nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons. You have created tools to destroy entire planets. We also created tools to heal, to build, to explore, Hyejin said. It was the first time she had spoken in the chamber. The soldier speaks, Vexana said with amusement. Tell us, human warrior, how many of your own kind have you killed? None, Hyejin answered. Impossible. All human. Soldiers kill other humans. It is what you do. I am a defense force captain. My job is to protect human colonies from asteroids, equipment failures, and accidents. I have never fought in a war. The council members looked at each other. Some made sounds that might have been surprise. No wars? Asked the tree-like being. But your species is always fighting. We were, Tae-ho said, but we learned to do better. We have had no major wars for over 30 years. Lies, Kethalos said flatly. Warrior species cannot stop fighting. It is in your nature. Perhaps that is true for some species, Tae-ho said carefully. But humans chose a different path. Thokmar returned to his chair. It does not matter. The council has made a decision. You will accept our terms, or you will face the consequences. What consequences? Tae-ho asked. Your colonies will be taken by species that can use them properly. Your ships will be destroyed or captured. Your home world will be placed under council control for the safety of the galaxy. The chamber was very quiet. Tae-ho could feel Hyejin and Min-su waiting for his response. Those sound like threats, Chancellor. They are not threats. They are facts. Look around you, human. 15 species sit in this chamber. Each one has fleets of ships that are more advanced than anything your people can build. Each one has weapons that could destroy your entire home system. You are one small new species. We are the masters of the galaxy. And if we refuse your terms? Thokmar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Then you will learn why young species do not refuse the council. Tae-ho looked at the faces around him. He saw arrogance, certainty, and something else. Fear. They were afraid of humans, even though they tried to hide it. I need to send a message to Earth, Tae-ho said. Our leaders must know your final terms. Of course. But understand this, Ambassador. We are being very patient with you. Most species that refuse the council are dealt with immediately. We are giving you this chance because some of our members think humans might be useful servants. Servants? Workers. Soldiers, builders. Your species seems good at following orders when properly motivated. Min-su made a small sound of anger. Hyejin put a hand on his shoulder to keep him quiet. We will send your message to Earth, Vexana said. But we will also send our own message. Your leaders will see our fleets moving toward human space. This will help them understand their situation. You are moving military ships toward our territory, Hyejin asked. Of course. It is a demonstration. Your people need to see our power before they can make the right decision. Tae-ho nodded slowly. I understand. You want to show us your strength. Exactly. You are learning, Ambassador. The Humans were escorted back to their ship again. This time, the guards stayed closer and watched them more carefully. Back in their quarters, Hee-Jin immediately began checking her instruments. They were not lying about the fleets. I count at least 50 warships moving toward the edge of human space. How long until they reach our border? Tae-ho asked. 3 days, maybe 4. Min-Soo was working on his computer. I have been analyzing their language during both meetings. They use words that mean inferior, primitive, and expendable when they talk about humans. But they also use words that mean unknown, unpredictable, and dangerous. They are scared of us, Tae-ho realized. They are moving ships not just to threaten us, but to protect themselves. From what? Hye-jin asked. They think we are primitive. Maybe they think we are primitive, but they know we are different. Every other species probably accepted their terms quickly. We are the first to ask questions. Tae-ho composed his message. To Earth. He included everything that had happened, every threat that had been made, and every ship movement that Hye-jin had detected. The response came back in 6 hours. It was even shorter than before. Terms rejected, return home immediately, Operation Golden Dawn is authorized. Hye-jin read the message and smiled. Golden Dawn. I have not heard that name in a long time. What is Golden Dawn? Min-Soo asked. Something the council is not expecting, Hye-jin said. Tae-ho stood up and straightened his uniform. Gentlemen, lady, we have one more meeting to attend. Let us go tell the Galactic Council what Earth thinks of their generous offer. As they prepared to leave their ship, Min-Soo asked, What do you think will happen after we deliver the message? I think, Tae-ho said, the Council is about to learn something new about humans. The council chamber felt different when Tae-ho walked in for the 3rd time. More guards were present. The council members sat straighter in their chairs. Even the air seemed thicker, like before a storm. Ambassador Kim, Thokmar said without standing. Have your leaders seen reason? Tae-ho walked to the center of the chamber. He did not need to look at his notes. The message from Earth was simple enough to remember. Chancellor Thokmar, honorable council members, I bring you the official response from the United Earth government. Excellent, Vexana said. I trust they have accepted our terms. The United Earth government has carefully considered your proposal, Tae-ho said clearly. Our answer is no. The silence that followed was complete. No one moved. No one breathed. Even the lights seemed to dim. Then Thokmar began to laugh. It was not a pleasant sound. No? Did you say no? Yes, Chancellor. We reject your terms completely. Impossible, Kethlo said, standing up from his chair. No species refuses the council. We do. Tae-ho turned to face each council member as he spoke. We came here hoping to find friends among the stars. We hope to share knowledge, culture, and peaceful cooperation. Instead, you offer us chains. Chains? Thokmar's voice was getting louder. We offer you protection, guidance, and a place in the galactic community. You offer us slavery, Tae-ho said simply. You want us to give up our freedom, our resources, and our right to choose our own path. This is not protection. This is conquest. The tree-like council member made a sound like wind through leaves. You do not understand, young human. Freedom is dangerous. Choice is chaos. The galaxy needs order. Whose order? Min-Soo asked. Yours? We have maintained peace for thousands of years, Vexana said. Have you? Hye-jin stepped forward. Or have you simply silenced everyone who disagreed with you? Silence, Thokmar roared. You will not question the council's authority. We are not part of your council, Tae-ho said calmly. We never agreed to your authority. We came here as equals, hoping for friendship. You treated us as inferiors and demanded our submission. This meeting is over. He turned toward the door. Hyejin and Minsu followed him. Stop, Thokmar commanded. You will not leave until this matter is resolved. Taeho paused, but did not turn around. It is resolved, Chancellor. We choose freedom. Guards, Thokmar said. Detain them. The council guards moved to block the door. Each one was armed with weapons that hummed with energy. Hyejin touched something on her belt. It looked like a simple communication device. This could be a problem, she said quietly. For whom? Taeho asked. The guards raised their weapons. You will return to your seats, one of them said. The council is not finished with you. Yes, Taeho said. You are. The lights in the chamber flickered. Then the entire station shook. What was that? Vexana demanded. The shaking came again, stronger this time. Emergency alarms began to sound throughout the station. Status report, Thokmar shouted to his staff. A council technician's voice came through the speakers. Chancellor, we have unknown ships in the docking bay. They are moving very fast. Through the chamber's windows, they could see flashes of light in space. Ships were moving around the station, but they were moving in ways that seemed impossible. How many ships? Kethlos demanded. We are not sure, War Prime. Our sensors are having trouble tracking them. Hyejin smiled. Stealth technology, very useful. Human ships? Thokmar asked. Some of them, Hyejin said. Our escort arrived faster than expected. The chamber door suddenly opened. Two figures in strange armor walked in. The armor seemed to bend light around it, making them hard to see clearly. The council guards aimed their weapons, but the figures moved faster than anyone could follow. In seconds, all the guards were unconscious on the floor. The figures had not used any weapons that anyone could see. Time to go, Captain, one of the figures said to Hyejin. About time, she replied. I was getting bored. This is impossible, Thokmar said. Our security systems show no intruders. Your security systems are not as good as you think, Minsu said. The figures escorted the human delegation toward the door. As they walked, Taeho turned back to face the council one last time. You made a mistake, Chancellor. You judged us by your own standards. You think strength means the ability to force others to obey. You think wisdom means the power to control what others do. You are wrong about both. You cannot do this, Vexana said. You cannot just leave. We can, and we are. Taeho paused. You should have asked about our history more carefully. Yes, humans fought many wars. Yes, we created terrible weapons. But do you know what we learned from all that fighting? The council members stared at him. We learned that the strongest person is not the one who wins every fight. The strongest person is the one who chooses not to fight until fighting is the only option left. They walked out of the chamber. Behind them, they could hear Thokmar shouting orders that no one seemed able to follow. The corridors of the station were full of confused aliens. Emergency lights flashed red and blue. Announcement voices spoke in languages that overlapped and made no sense together. How many ships did Earth send? Minsu asked as they walked. Enough, one of the armored figures said. They reached the docking bay to find a scene that would have been impossible an hour earlier. Human ships filled every available space. Some of them were familiar designs, but others looked like nothing anyone had seen before. Where did all these ships come from? Taeho asked. They were always here, Hyejin said. You just could not see them. Their own ship was surrounded by a formation of sleek vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. As they boarded, Taeho looked back at the station. Council ships were moving to surround the human vessels, but they were moving slowly, uncertainly. The human ships moved like dancers, flowing around obstacles without apparent effort. Will there be fighting? Minsu asked. Not if they are smart, Hyejin said. And despite everything, I think they are smart enough to recognize superior technology when they see it. The human ships began to move away from the station. One by one, they jumped into hyperspace with a flash of light that was brighter and cleaner than any jump the Council had ever seen. As their own ship prepared to jump, Tejo sent one final message to the Council. Chancellor Thokmar, Council members, you wanted to know what kind of species humanity is. Now you know. We are the kind of species that chooses peace first, but we are also the kind that chooses freedom always. We came to you with open hands. You demanded we make fists. That was your choice, not ours. The message included something else. Technical specifications for clean energy generation, advanced medical treatments, and agricultural techniques that could feed billions. Why are you giving them that? Minsu asked. Because, Tejo said, we are still the species that came here hoping to make friends. Maybe someday they will understand that. Their ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Council to contemplate what they had just witnessed. Behind them, Nexus Station sat in space, its lights flickering as the Council tried to understand how their perfect control had vanished in a single afternoon. In the Council chamber, Thokmar sat alone, staring at the technical data the humans had left behind. Each page showed advances that his species had been trying to achieve for centuries. What have we done? He whispered to the empty room. War Prime Kethlos stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display with growing confusion. His fleet of 200 ships was approaching the human border system of New Sol. Intelligence reports said it was a mining colony, with minimal defenses. The reports were wrong. Sir, his tactical officer said, we are detecting ships. How many? I am not sure, sir. The count keeps changing. Kethalos looked at the display himself. Ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts. One moment his sensors showed 5 human vessels, the next moment they showed 50. Sensor malfunction? No, sir. All systems are working correctly. The human ships are using some kind of stealth technology we have never seen before. A new voice came over the communication system. It was calm and female. War Prime Kethlos, this is Admiral So-Young Choi of the Pacific Defense Fleet. You are ordered to leave this system immediately. Kethlos laughed. Admiral, you are outnumbered 10-1. Surrender now and your people will be treated well. War Prime, you are not outnumbered. You are outmatched. This is your final warning. My final warning? Kethlos turned to his weapons officer. Target their largest ship. Fire when ready. The Council fleet opened fire with every weapon they had. Energy beams and missile swarms filled the space between the fleets. The attack was impressive, lighting up the darkness with deadly colors. None of it hit anything. The human ships moved like they knew where every shot would go before it was fired. They flowed around the incoming fire like water flowing around. Stones! How is that possible? Kethlos demanded. Sir, their computers are predicting our targeting patterns faster than we can implement them. Then the human ships began to shoot back. The first Council ship to die was the heavy cruiser Iron Fist. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, firing its weapons. The next moment, there was nothing but empty space. What happened? To the Iron Fist? Kethlos asked. Unknown, sir. There was no explosion, no debris. It just disappeared. More ships began to vanish. The Council fleet found itself fighting an enemy they could barely see using weapons they could not understand. All ships retreat to... Kethlos began, but his words were cut off as his own ship shook under impact. Damage report. Engines disabled. Weapons offline. Life support at 50%. Admiral Choi's voice came over the communication system. Again. War Prime Kethlos, this is over. Order your remaining ships to surrender. Kethlos looked at his tactical display. Of his 200 ships, only 37 were still operational. The battle had lasted 4 hours, but it felt like minutes. How? He whispered. Sir? How did they do this to us? Before anyone could answer, space around them filled with human ships. They had dropped their stealth systems and become visible. There were hundreds of them, sleek and strange, surrounding the surviving Council vessels. "War Prime," Admiral Choi said. "Your ships will be escorted to the edge of this system. Any attempt to return will be met with immediate destruction. Do you understand?" Kethalos nodded, even though she could not see him. "I understand." As his damaged fleet limped away from New Sol, Kethalos tried to process what had happened. The humans had not just defeated him, they had made his entire fleet look like children playing with toys. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other Council commanders were having similar experiences. Captain Dong Wu Han arrived at the Zephyrian slave worlds with 12 ships. The Council garrison had 50 vessels guarding the planet, but they were focused on keeping the slaves from escaping, not on defending against attack. The human ships appeared in the middle of the Council formation without warning. The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it was over, the Council ships were debris, and the Zephyrian people were free for the first time in 300 years. "This is Captain Han to all Zephyrian settlements," he broadcast. "You are no longer slaves. The Council garrison has been eliminated. Prepare for evacuation if you wish to leave this world." The response came from thousands of voices speaking at once. They were crying, laughing, and singing in languages that had been forbidden for centuries. At the same time, Commander Yu-Jin Nam was leading an attack on the Council's primary weapons facility at Kepler Station. The station was supposedly impregnable, protected by energy shields that could stop entire fleets. The human ships passed through the shields like they were not there. "Impossible," the station commander transmitted. "Those shields are rated against any known weapon." "Then you should have designed them against unknown weapons," Commander Nam replied. The weapons facility was not destroyed. Instead, every weapon it contained was systematically disabled or removed. The station's personnel were left alive, but helpless, watching as their most advanced technology was taken apart by tools they could not even see properly. The most dramatic attack was led by Admiral Jun-Ho Bei at the Central Communication Nexus. This was the facility that allowed the Council to coordinate across the entire galaxy. Without it, their far-flung empire would become a collection of isolated worlds. The Nexus was protected by the largest fleet in Council space. 500 ships surrounded the facility, creating overlapping fields of fire that should have been able to stop any attack. Admiral Bei arrived with 20 ships. "Admiral, you are massively outnumbered," the Nexus commander broadcast. "Withdraw now and we will consider not pursuing you." "Commander, you are looking at this wrong," Admiral Bei replied. "You are not defending a communication facility. You are trapped in a target zone." The human ships spread out in a formation that made no sense to Council tactical doctrine. They were too far apart to support each other, moving in patterns that seemed random. Then the Nexus began to receive reports from across the galaxy. Council fleets were being destroyed everywhere. Slave worlds were being liberated. Strategic facilities were being captured or eliminated. "How many human fleets are there?" the commander asked his staff. We do not know, sir. They seem to be everywhere at once." The Nexus facility itself never came under direct attack. Instead, the human ships simply jammed every communication signal it tried to send. The most important communication center in the galaxy was reduced to an expensive piece of silent metal. "Commander," Admiral Bei transmitted, "your facility is no longer functional. Your fleets cannot coordinate. Your empire cannot communicate. This war is over." Back on Nexus Station, Chancellor Thokmar was trying to understand reports that made no sense. Human fleets were attacking dozens of targets simultaneously. His commanders were reporting defeats that should have been impossible. "How many ships do the humans have?" he demanded. "Unknown, Chancellor. Our intelligence was incomplete." "Incomplete? We studied them for months." "Yes, sir, but they only showed us what they wanted us to see." Thokmar stared at the tactical display. Red markers showed Council defeats across the galaxy. Human fleets were moving faster than his ships could respond, striking targets with precision that suggested they knew more about Council defenses than the Council did. "Sir," his aide said quietly, "we are receiving surrender requests from 17 different sectors." "Surrender requests? From whom?" "From our own commanders, sir. They are asking permission to surrender to the humans." Thokmar sat down heavily in his chair. In less than a day, the mighty Galactic Council had been reduced to isolated pockets of resistance being systematically eliminated by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. "Get me a communication link to the human fleet commanders," he said finally. "Sir, I need to talk to them before they decide we are too dangerous to leave alive." As his aide worked to establish contact, Thokmar looked out at the stars and wondered how many other mistakes the Council had made over the centuries. How many other species had they underestimated? How many potential friends had they turned into enemies through arrogance and fear? Soon, he would have a chance to ask the humans these questions, if they were willing to talk instead of simply finishing what the Council had started. General Hyun-woo Park stood in the main briefing room of the United Earth Government building in Geneva. Around the table sat representatives from 15 different species that had been liberated from Council control. Some looked almost human. Others were so alien that special environmental suits were needed for them to breathe Earth's air. "Welcome to Earth," General Park said simply. "We have much to discuss." The Zephyrian representative, a being with silver skin and large eyes, spoke first. "General Park, we must thank you for our freedom. But we do not understand. Your species is new to space travel. How did you defeat the Council so completely?" General Park smiled. "We are not as new as you were told. Please, let me show you something." The lights dimmed, and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed the solar system, but not as any of the aliens had seen it before. There were structures everywhere. Massive orbital platforms, asteroid mining operations, and ships that moved between the planets like a constant stream of traffic. "This is what our home system really looks like," General Park said. "We have been hiding our true capabilities for over 50 years. A representative from the Corvani people, who looked like walking crystals, made a sound like wind chimes. But why hide? Why pretend to be less advanced than you are?" "Because," said Dr. Sumin Yang as she entered the room, "we learned from history. Every time a powerful civilization encounters a weaker one, the weaker one suffers. We decided to appear weak until we could be sure we were strong enough to protect ourselves." Dr. Yang was Earth's chief science officer. She had spent her entire career working on projects that the Council had never known existed. "Dr. Yang," said the Zephyrian, "our scientists studied your technology for months before the Council meetings. Your ships, your computers, your weapons. They all seem primitive." "They were primitive," Dr. Yang said. "The ships we showed you were 50-year-old designs. We used them for exploration and first contact because they would not seem threatening. Our real ships were always hidden." She activated another holographic display. This one showed schematics for the ships that had defeated the Council fleets. The designs were sleek and elegant, incorporating technologies that some of the aliens had never seen before. "Impossible," whispered the Corvani representative. "These stealth systems, these weapons, this computer technology, it would take centuries to develop." "It did take centuries," General Park said, "but we started earlier than you think. Humans have been preparing for contact with alien species since before we left our home planet." "You expected to find other life?" asked a representative from the Valix Consortium, a species that looked like intelligent plants. "We hoped to find friends," Dr. Yang said, "but we prepared to find enemies." She brought up another display, this one showing Earth's development over the past century. The planet was covered with cities that seemed to grow like living things. Orbital elevators connected the surface to space stations. The oceans contained floating cities that harvested energy from the waves. "Your population," the Zephyrian said, staring at the numbers. "There are 12 billion humans." 12.7 billion, General Park corrected. And that is just on Earth. We have colonies in 47 systems. 47? The Corvani made their wind chime sound again. The Council only knew about 7 human colonies. The Council only knew what we wanted them to know. Dr. Yang activated a galactic map. It showed human colonies spread across a much larger area than anyone had realized. Some were obvious, clearly marked and regularly visited by human ships. Others were subtle, hidden bases and research stations that had been operating for decades, without detection. We have been watching the Council for 30 years, Dr. Yang explained. We knew about their expansion methods, their treatment of subject species, their military capabilities. We prepared accordingly. But how? Asked the Valix representative. How did you advance so quickly? Dr. Yang and General Park looked at each other. This was the moment they had been preparing for. Because, Dr. Yang said, we are not just one species anymore. The room fell silent. Every alien representative stared at her. What do you mean? The Zephyrian asked. Humans have a gift, General Park explained. We adapt. We learn. We absorb new ideas and make them part of ourselves. Over the past 50 years, we have encountered 17 different alien species, not the Council species, others, hidden civilizations, isolated worlds, ancient derelicts floating in space. From each contact, we learned something, Dr. Yang continued. New technologies, new ways of thinking, new approaches to old problems. We did not conquer these species. We befriended them. Some of them chose to join us. Another holographic display showed images that made several of the representatives gasp. Humans working alongside aliens in laboratories, mixed crews on starships, cities where multiple species live together. The human designation includes more than just the original Earth-born species, General Park said. It includes anyone who chooses to be part of human civilization. We have Zephyrians who escaped Council slavery years ago. We have Corvani researchers who shared their crystal-based computer technology. We have Valix agricultural specialists who helped us develop our food production systems. This is why you advanced so quickly, the Zephyrian realized. You were not developing alone. Exactly. While the Council enforced separation and hierarchy, we built cooperation and partnership. Dr. Yang activated one more display. This one showed medical technology that made even the advanced species in the room amazed. Our medical advances, she said, come from combining human regenerative research with Corvani crystal healing and Valix biological manipulation. Our agricultural systems use human engineering, Zephyrian soil analysis, and techniques from 6 other species. And your weapons? Asked the Corvani. Our weapons, General Park said, are designed by beings who understand what it means to be oppressed. Every species that has joined us has contributed something to our defense systems, not because they want to conquer others, but because they want to make sure they never have to be slaves again. The room was quiet for a long moment. Finally, the Zephyrian spoke. The Council believes that different species cannot work together. They say that cooperation leads to chaos, that only hierarchy creates order. The Council is wrong, Dr. Yang said simply. Cooperation does not create chaos. It creates something the Council has never experienced. What is that? Innovation, growth, joy. When beings work together because they choose to, not because they are forced to, they accomplish things that no single species could achieve alone. General Park stood up. This is why we are here today. Not to replace the Council with human rule, but to show you what is possible when free beings work together. What are you proposing? Asked the Valix representative. A new kind of galactic civilization, Dr. Yang said. One based on voluntary association, mutual benefit, and shared knowledge. One where every species contributes what they can and receives what they need. And the Council? The Corvani asked. The Council's military, Power's broken, General Park said. Their communication networks are disabled. Their slave worlds are free. But we are not interested in conquering them. We are interested in giving them the same choice we are giving you. What choice? The choice to be free. As the meeting continued, representatives from the liberated worlds began to understand that something unprecedented was happening. For the first time in galactic history, a powerful civilization was offering partnership instead of domination. It was, as Dr. Yang had said, something the Council had never experienced, something they had never thought possible, something that was about to change everything. 6 months had passed since the Council fleets had been defeated. The galaxy was a very different place now. Where once the Council's iron control had kept thousands of worlds in line, now there was something that had never existed before. Choice. Tae-ho. Kim stood at the window of his office in New Geneva, looking out at the Swiss mountains. The view was peaceful, but his mind was on the message that had arrived that morning. Chancellor Thokmar was coming to Earth. Not as a conqueror, not as a negotiator, but as a petitioner. The once mighty Galactic Council had been reduced to 7 core worlds. Most of their subject species had declared independence and joined the new Galactic Assembly that Earth was helping to organize. The Council's fleets were scattered or destroyed. Their communication networks remained silent. They had learned what it meant to be powerless. Sir? His assistant, Yong-Soo Park, entered the office. The Council shuttle has arrived. Chancellor Thokmar is requesting an immediate meeting. Let him wait, Tae-ho said quietly. He made us wait often enough. How long should I tell him? And a hour. Then bring him to Conference Room 7. Conference Room 7 was the smallest meeting room in the building. It had a simple table, basic chairs, and a view of the mountains. It was not impressive. It was not meant to be. When Thokmar was finally escorted into the room, Tae-ho was shocked by how much the Chancellor had changed. The proud alien who had once commanded from a throne was gone. This being looked tired, older, smaller somehow. Ambassador Kim, Thokmar said, standing beside the chair but not sitting. Please, sit down, Chancellor. Thokmar sat carefully, as if he was not sure the chair would hold him. I have come to formally surrender the remaining Council worlds to human authority. I see. Tae-ho poured 2 cups of tea from a simple pot. Sugar? The question seemed to confuse Thokmar. What? Would you like sugar in your tea? It is a human custom when receiving guests. Guests? Thokmar stared at him. I am not a guest. I am a defeated enemy coming to surrender. You are a being who traveled a long way to have a conversation. That makes you a guest. Tae-ho pushed 1 cup across the table. Sugar is in the small bowl. Thokmar looked at the tea, then at Tae-ho, then back at the tea. Slowly, he added sugar and took a sip. It is pleasant. I am glad you like it. Now about this surrender. Earth does not accept it. What? We do not want to rule your worlds, Chancellor. We never did. Thokmar set down his cup with shaking hands. I do not understand. You defeated us completely. You could take everything we have? Yes, we could. But why would we want to? For a long moment, Thokmar said nothing. He stared out the window at the mountains, his black eyes reflecting the snow on the peaks. We were wrong, he said finally. About everything. About you, about power, about what it means to be strong. Tell me. We thought that might makes right. That the strongest species should rule the galaxy. We built an empire on that belief. For thousands of years, it worked. Did it work? Or did you just tell yourselves it worked? Thokmar was quiet again. We told ourselves many things. We told ourselves that other species needed our guidance. We told ourselves that we were bringing order to chaos. We told ourselves that we were protecting the galaxy from worse things. And now? Now I see that we were the worst thing. Thokmar's voice was barely above a whisper. We enslaved entire civilizations and called it protection. We stole resources and called it taxation. We destroyed anyone who disagreed with us and called it justice. Teho sipped his tea and waited. But you, Thokmar continued, you did something we thought was impossible. You had the power to destroy us completely, but you chose not to. You freed our slaves and helped them build new lives. You disabled our weapons but left our people alive. You defeated our fleets but offered mercy to the survivors. What does that tell you, Chancellor? It tells me that we never understood what strength really means. Thokmar looked directly at Teho for the first time. We thought strength was the ability to force others to obey. You showed us that real strength is the choice not to use that ability. And you gave our former subjects something we never gave them. You gave them choice. The choice to be free, the choice to join your assembly, the choice to forge their own paths. Most of them chose freedom. Teho nodded. And some chose to remain loyal to the Council worlds. We respect that choice too. How is that possible? How can you allow species that might become your enemies to remain free? Because, Chancellor, enemies are made, not born. If we treat others with respect and offer them real friendship, most of them will choose to be friends. If we try to force them to be friends, they will eventually become enemies. Thokmar picked up his teacup again, but his hands were shaking too much to drink. We made so many enemies. Species that could have been our allies. We turned into rebels or slaves. Civilizations that could have shared knowledge with us, we destroyed or conquered. Yes, you did. And now you have a choice. Thokmar looked up sharply. A choice? The same choice we offered everyone else. You can join the Galactic Assembly as equal members. Your species has knowledge and experience that could benefit everyone. Your worlds have resources and cultures that could enrich the galaxy. But we were your enemies. We tried to enslave you. You tried. You failed. That does not mean you cannot choose a different path now. What if we make the same mistakes again? Teho smiled. Then you will learn from those mistakes, just like every other species. The Assembly is not perfect, Chancellor. We argue, we disagree, we sometimes make bad decisions. But we make them together, and we fix them together. President Yunseo Kim entered the room quietly. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but Thokmar had learned not to judge humans by their appearance. Chancellor Thokmar, she said, sitting down at the table, I understand you wish to discuss terms for joining the Galactic Assembly. Yes, Madam President, but I do not understand what you want from us. The same thing we want from everyone else. Honesty, cooperation, and a commitment to the principles of the Assembly, which are? Every species has the right to govern itself. Every being has the right to live freely. Every civilization has the right to choose its own path. Conflicts are resolved through discussion, not force. Knowledge and resources are shared, fairly among all members. Thokmar stared at her. That is all? That is everything, Chancellor. Those principles are the foundation of everything we are trying to build. And if we violate those principles, then you will be asked to leave the Assembly, President Kim said simply. We will not force you to stay, and we will not force you to change, but we will not allow you to hurt others. You would not punish us. Why would we punish you for choosing a different path? We might be disappointed, but your choices are your own. Thokmar was quiet for several minutes. Outside the window, snow began to fall on the mountains. Madam President, he said finally, I formally request that the remaining Council worlds be admitted to the Galactic Assembly as equal members. Request granted, President Kim said. Welcome to the family, Chancellor. 3 months later, Dr. Min-Soo Lee stood in the Great Hall of the new Assembly Station. It was much larger than the old Nexus station, and it had been built by dozens of species working together. The architecture was a blend of styles from across the galaxy, creating something that was both alien and familiar. Representatives from over 300 worlds filled the hall. Some sat in chairs, others floated in tanks of liquid, still others hung from the ceiling on specialized platforms. Every major species in the galaxy was represented, including several that had been discovered since the fall of the Council. "The assembly will come to order," announced the rotating speaker, a being from the Crystalline Collective. "Today we address the establishment of new trade routes through the Outer Rim." Min-Su smiled as he watched the proceedings. Arguments broke out regularly, as they always did when so many different viewpoints came together. But the arguments were passionate discussions between equals, not the pronouncements of rulers to subjects. In the back of the hall, Chancellor Thokmar sat with the other representatives from the former council worlds. He still looked older than he had 6 months ago, but there was something new in his posture. Hope, perhaps. Or maybe just the relief of no longer carrying the weight of an empire built on fear. After the session ended, Thokmar approached Min-Su in the corridor. "Dr. Lee," he said, "I wanted to thank you." "For what, Chancellor?" "For showing us that there was a better way, for proving that different species can work together without someone forcing them to." Min-Su looked around at the mixture of beings in the corridor. Humans worked alongside aliens, sharing jokes and ideas. Former enemies collaborated on projects that would benefit worlds they had never seen. Children of different species played together in areas designed for multiple forms of life. "We did not prove it, Chancellor," Min-Su said. "We all proved it together." As he walked away, Min-Su reflected on how much had changed since that first meeting on Nexus Station. The galaxy was still vast, still dangerous, still full of unknowns. But for the first time in recorded history, it was also full of hope. The humans had gotten what they had come looking for in the first place: friends among the stars. And sometimes, Min-Su thought, the best way to find